In this video, we're going to look at the next stage of style guidance for building and working with Snowball Express pages. Notice I've done a little bit of work since the last video. We now have a latest news element on the page. That's using the announcements module, which I'll talk about in a later video. And I've used the snowflake icon as part of the header. So it's the blue header, it's the blue icon header with a snow background. This gives us a nice gap between the two blocks and different color heading for the box just to make the page a little bit more interesting. As I said before, the icon works in this kind of lower block, doesn't work so well at the top, so try and keep it for things that are lower down the page. What we're going to do in this section is add a new page and set its properties appropriately to look the right way. So first thing I need to do is click on this double arrow at the top. It says maximize when you hover over it. If I click on that, up comes the control panel. And here I have the option to add a new page. So I'm going to click add. This takes me through to a page where I can configure the settings. What I want to do is create a page announcing the fact that Gary Sinise has endorsed Snowball Express 4. So Gary Sinise endorsement is going to be the name, and make the name and the title the same, makes life easier. And also I'm going to add a little bit more text to that in the description and say that he's endorsed Snowball Express 4. Next step is very important. If you don't specify a parent page, if you leave it as non-specified, you will end up with a new top level menu item. Only do that if we know in advance that we intend to expand that top menu. The vast majority of the time you'll be wanting to add something under an existing menu. So in this case I'm making an announcement, so I'm going to go to the parent page section. I'm going to find the Media Center announcements and I'm going to select that as the parent page. Notice it just refreshed this part of the page. It now says, where do you want to be? Do you want to be after, before? Where do you want to be? I want it to be after dates announced. Administrators can reset the position of pages, so it's not a problem if I get it wrong now. Do I want to include it in the menu? Yes, I do. And I want all users to be able to see what I'm adding. Now, I'm going to leave it at that for the time being and just update it, and you'll see immediately that we have a problem. You can see the problem. The problem is that we have this block in here. Also, we're not in edit mode, so let's switch over to edit mode so we see a bit more clearly. You can see now, not only do we have this block in the wrong place, we also have an empty HTML element for us to work with. The first thing we need to do is reset the page skin. In the previous video, we looked at different containers that we could use, the different types of block that were available, from a simple text one with a white background through to ones with blue headers and icons or red headers and icons and so forth. We have a number of choices when it comes to pages. So now we go up to the page settings and click on that. Now you can see we're back into our page settings. If this time I open up the advanced settings, you can see we have page skin. At the moment it's using the portal default. What that means is that it's automatically just giving you a single page all across. That's important to be left that way because it makes it easier for administrative pages and so forth. But for your pages, you very rarely want to use the single one across. You want to use one of the options. And you can see we have twin pane, 3 pane, single pane, and 5 pane. Single is the default, which we don't want to use. In this case, I'm going to go with the twin pane. So I click on twin pane. I can also pick the container at the same time and select a default one. I'm not going to. I will select that on a module by module basis, so I don't have one type for the whole thing. I'll leave it as the default. So I'm now ready. If I click update now, that looks better, doesn't it? Now we have our consistent content over on the left where it should be, and you can see we have our text to enter section here. So now I'm going to just add a little bit of text to this. So the first thing to do is to add a title. So if I click on the pencil, I can just copy that, paste in there, and there's my title that I want. I click save, and now I want to just edit the content. Now in this case, we have a video at YouTube. If you go to YouTube and pick the embed text with the video, you can simply paste it in. I've left this inside the basic text box so that I can see the HTML. If you're not comfortable with HTML, if you are not in any way a web developer, then you can use the rich text box. However, as you can see, that doesn't give you a very good view of the video. If I go into the basic text box, I want to be in here because this embed text is provided by YouTube, and I can just paste it in here, so it makes it easy to do what I want. I can see it's added a little bit of stuff that I don't want, so I'm just going to take that out. But again, if you're not comfortable with HTML, if you're not at all a web expert, then stick with the rich text editor wherever possible. If you need somebody to mess with HTML, get somebody who's familiar with it. Okay, I can preview the content if I wish, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything, perhaps because of the content there. And I'll hit save. It's thinking about it, it's saving what I've done. And there we are. Here's our page. If we go back to our view mode, we can see what the page actually looks like. And you can see it's put in a bit of a larger gap than perhaps we want at the top. And again, what you can do is go into edit mode. And notice it's going slightly slow. It's going slightly slow because of the video that's embedded inside the page. Even though the video isn't playing, there is a certain amount of bandwidth involved. And now that I've got edit options as well, I can edit the content. And I could go here and just put a backspace in, get rid of the unnecessary additional space, and save. I'm also going to change the settings because I want to put this inside one of the blue backgrounds. So I'm going to click on settings, find the page settings, look for my module container, and I'm going to pick the blue header with a white background, and I'm going to update the page. Notice that when I want to change the setting for the number of panels on the page, then I use the page settings up here. When I want to change the settings for the individual module, this one, I go into the settings that appear here when I'm in edit mode. And I also want that video to be centered. So let's go into the edit content option. Let's select our video, and here we are. Here's a center option. So now if I save that, that's a bit more like it. Let's go into view mode and we'll see what other people actually get to see. So that's some basic guidance for the style rules for building new pages.